Excellent. Welcome to this afternoon's cocktail class. We're very lucky to be joined once again by Kenny, and Kenny did the most amazing gin cocktail class for us recently, and we thought we need to repeat that. Yep, we've got some repeat customers too. Thank you for joining us once again. And this afternoon we are going to be making cocktails with rum. So Kenny, shall we hand straight on over to you?
Absolutely. Good afternoon all. Welcome back. Erica, happy birthday. So we never let a birthday pass without doing shots. So I've just snuck into the freezer here, got myself a wee little Jägermeister. So hopefully you'll join me somehow, find some alcohol. And here's to you, mate. Happy birthday, number 21. Perfect way to start the afternoon. So welcome everybody. I see lots of familiar names, a few familiar faces. So yes, I am Kenny. And my job is pretty much just to hang out with cool people like yourselves, usually in person, but we're so used to catching up over the internet now that I feel like this is my future. So I hang out with alcohol, I make drinks, and I talk a hell of a lot of shit. So, but it's all about having fun. For those people who haven't got their cameras turned on, if you get enough Dutch courage into you this afternoon, hopefully you'll press that camera button so we can see your beautiful faces. But apart from that, chat is not just to ask questions, it's also just to throw a bit of banter around. At the moment, everyone seems relatively calm and reserved, but I will do a little test to see if you were listening to Liz. So if you have already been drinking today, use a little raise hand emoji. I just want to see what level of sort of alcoholics I'm working with this afternoon. Yeah, good. There's a few people like myself. Oh yeah, amazing. Very good. All righty. Well, for the rest of you, we'll change it. So, oh yeah, good. More hands. There we go. Bloody beauty. So pretty much what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit about rum. So all these cocktails are based around rum. So hopefully we can learn a little bit about rum as well. We've got a huge range of different style rums, different flavor rums as well. And we'll just make some cocktails along the way and hang out and have a chat. So we're going to start straight away with making a drink before I talk about rum, because that way we can at least be sipping on something. So I'm going to just share my screen here. Hopefully you guys can all see that. So the first drink we are going to be making this afternoon is the Mojito. So this is absolutely one of my favorite cocktails. So what you're going to need for that is the small bottle in front of you that has Flor de Caña 4 on it, or it'll say Extra Seco 4-year-old. So you're going to need that. You're going to need some of the lime juice. You've got a big and a small bottle there. You're going to need some sugar syrup. Hopefully everybody went out and got themselves some mint. You should have an East Imperial soda water and a vessel to put it in. So you're either looking for a tall glass. I'm actually just using a short glass this afternoon because ultimately they're pretty much the same size anyway. Actually, you know what? Since it's Erica's birthday, I'm going to use this little tiki cup that I have. All right. So first things first. Sorry, I'll probably be repeating a little bit just about mints, because mint is really, really important. This drink is all about mint. All right. So what you may have seen is when you go to your cocktail bar, right, or you may be doing it at home yourselves, a lot of people I see, they actually grab the mint and the first thing they do is they give it a good clap. All right. So it looks spectacular, right? And it makes the room smell really, really good. And the same with your hands. But ultimately what we've done with the mint is we've burst all the flavor bubbles and the oil bubbles inside. So now there's actually not much flavor left in the leaves themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 45 mils of our Flor de Caña. This is a white rum. So some of you guys might be using a jigger, which is one of these fancy measuring things. If you're not, you can also use a tablespoon. So a tablespoon is actually 15 mil. Nora, I can see you looking at what side to use. All right, so all good. So the big side on your jigger is 30 mil. Yep, I think. And then the other side should be 15 by the looks of things. I could be wrong, but all right. So we're going to need 45 mils of rum. Next, we're going to take our lime juice. So for that, we need 30 mils. next we're going to need some sugar syrup. So 15 mils, 1.5. Alrighty, now we're going to take our mint leaves. So depending on how minty you want your cocktail to be, you can add more or less, but I'm going to start with 8 leaves and I'm just going to throw them straight into the glass. There's absolutely no need to press them, slap them, anything. All right, just put them straight into the glass like so. Keep piling them in. And then depending on what kind of cocktail setup you have at home, I have a bar spoon here like this that actually has a flat end. All right, so you might have a wooden muddler or something. It doesn't matter what you're using, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to crush the living crap out of it. All right, you just want to gently press the leaves into the liquid that you already have in your glass. All right, so we kind of, instead of clapping it, right, we're actually getting all the oil from those leaves into the liquid that we already have in the drink. So we just give it a good press for about 10 seconds or so. And next, when it comes to cocktails, there are a couple of rules. Number one is always measure everything. All right, so it's not like cooking where you can just do a sprinkle of this, and it's more like baking where you kind of have to, for balance purposes, you have to follow a recipe. So what you want to do now is you want to fill your whole glass with ice, because rule number 2 when it comes to cocktails is ice is your best friend. All right, so I'm going to load this right up to the top. Hopefully no one has gone ahead too far, because another common mistake that people make when it comes to a mojito is they add far too much soda water. All right, it's not meant to be a fizzy drink. All right, so what you want to do now is you actually want to just start stirring your drink already. All right, so we just start stirring, and what you'll find is that ice is going to start melting, which is all good. Ta-da. And then before we start adding any soda water, I'm going to re-top up my glass with ice. All right, the more ice I can get into a drink, the longer it's actually going to taste the same. All right, so now I'm just going to get my soda water, and I'm probably going to add about 60 mils worth. All right, not a lot at all. Lastly, give that another good stir. Like this. And then last but not least, if you want, you can garnish it. All right, so for me, again, a lot of bars and stuff, they go real stingy. So what they do is they pick like the smallest mint leaf you've ever seen known to man, right, and they put it on top. That's not going to do much for your drink. I get a nice big bunch like this. All right, and like I said before, I told you not to clap your mint. A good idea here is just to press the mint leaves like this in between your fingers before putting it into the glass. And the reason for that is the aroma is going to come out. So we just put that on top of the drink like so as the garnish. And I'm just going to pop out and grab a straw. Excuse me. If I can find one. Ta-da. And what you want to do is, if you're serving this to yourself or other people, you just want to put that straw right next to the mint. And there you have it. This is an absolutely delicious mojito. Oh, man, that's good. Depending on your vibe, if you like sour drinks, you know, add a little bit more lime juice. If you like sweeter drinks, add a little bit more sugar syrup. Or if you like really boozy forward drinks, this is not meant to be, you know, like a real booze forward drink. It's meant to be long, refreshing. It'll be really good if the sun started shining right now, but all through summer, this would be freaking amazing. All right, so who's enjoying that? I am. This is the perfect way to start a tasting. So that there is the mojito. It's been around for a hell of a long period of time. So I said to you before that we're using a white rum here. So when it comes to rum, I don't know how much or how little you know about rum, but pretty much it's pretty like cowboy, right? When it comes to making rum, there aren't that many rules, but the one rule that we do have to follow is that it has to be made from sugarcane. All right, so sugarcane being a grass, and then when we go to make sugar, we also make a byproduct, which is called molasses. So you can actually make it from the cane juice. So we just take the big stalk of sugar cane, we press it and the juice comes out. Some of those people who have traveled the world may have actually just had a sugar cane juice, and they usually add a lot of lime and stuff to it for a bit of balance. You can use that. You can also obviously use sugar, but molasses is the most common. So that is actually a byproduct of making sugar as we know it, like caster sugar and things. But you can age it in oak. All right, so later on, next actually, we're going to try Mount Gay. So this has been aged in barrels. This is pretty much just comes straight off the still. We've added a little bit of water to bring it down to the right ABV, and hence why it has no color. But then you've also got what we're trying here is a 4-year-old rum. So there's a bit of a trick that you can do. So this has obviously been aged because it says 4 years old. What we do then is we charcoal filter. All right, so we use charcoal to remove the color. All right, and the reason for that is when over time, as rum became less popular because of another spirit by the name of vodka, people were like, oh, I don't like dark spirits, right? And there's still a lot of people out there that think when they drink dark spirits, they get all fighty and they just, they get on the hate train. All right, so what they did is they found out that they can actually remove the color using charcoal. So all of a sudden, people who didn't like dark spirits were still drinking rum, right? So it's actually quite a clever way to go about producing rum. But this here, a 4-year-old, so, it's not meant to actually, if you tried it by itself, it's not like a flavor bomb at all, right? It's super easy to drink and a great base for a cocktail because it's not going to be overpowering in taste. If you use, if you like the taste of rum, I do encourage you to try and make a mojito out of a gold rum or a dark rum, all right, because it's actually more pronounced, the rum flavor. So if you do like that, make sure you give it a go. All righty, so what do we got here? Hey, Erica, I didn't see you do your shot, by the way. I am watching. That's fine. Love the taste. Great cocktail to start with. Super refreshing. No one likes the hate train. No one likes the hate train. That's very, very true. No shot?
I did do a shot.
Oh, you did?
You
Okay.
do another one.
I did. There we go. Bit of Kahlua.
Kahlua. You're on the hard stuff, love. Good on ya.
Just needed a coffee.
Yeah, fair enough too. Fair enough. So what's everyone's feelings on this cocktail? Throw some comments in the chat. And I'll be pretty keen. I'll be pretty keen to hear from people. Like when it comes to, you're obviously tuned into a cocktail class here, but how many of you guys make cocktails at home? And then also, like, is this something that you would be making? And is it so? Because the hardest thing with a cocktail like this is usually when you have a party, right, and people come around for drinks. When it comes to cocktails like this, or any cocktails really, is you spend a lot of time actually behind the bar instead of enjoying the party with your friends. So a good way to go about it is you can actually make the base. So if you go and pre-batch, right, I'll just share my screen again. So if you pre-batch the rum, the lime juice, sugar syrup, and the mint leaves, all right, you can actually just make a huge batch of it, all right? And all you got to do is tell people how much mils to put into their glass and just have some soda water sitting next to it. So you can actually kind of make all these cocktails into a punch bowl style drink. And that saves you from having to make them one by one. Because in the bartending world, there is this thing, unfortunately, called the Mojito Train. And what that means is, at the bar, someone will order one. And then 5 minutes later, someone else will pull up and be like, oh, I'll have a mojito. And, an hour later, everyone's ordering them. And if your bartender's either told you that they've run out of mint, no, they haven't. They're just sick of making mojitos. So, yeah, they're all lying to you. Tell them that you'll go have a look yourself. All righty. Do we have any questions at all about the mojito?
I think, Kenny, we got some comments there that it's stronger than the ones in the bars.
This one is, or you
this
make
one
this?
is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Look, a little bit of extra alcohol in in any of these drinks is always a-okay.
And particularly strong for the person who's put 2 rums into it already.
I do rate that. Actually, it is very Caribbean of whoever did that. It is very Caribbean of you. Here I am telling you, when it comes to cocktails, you should measure everything and stuff. Man, when you go over there, they don't measure anything. They kind of, they get distracted and they'll, you come back and it's kind of half a glass full of spirit, which is okay, right, if you're on a shoestring budget, but I would rather a balanced drink that tastes absolutely delicious. All righty, shall we move on? Yep.
Sounds perfect. And we've got lots of comments here, Kenny, that people are making cocktails at home. So
cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely.
Sweet. So yeah, there's again, when you're making cocktails at home, some of the stuff that that the team at Glengarry's have sent out to you, you can go and buy limes if you want. When they're in the season, they're a reasonable price, but ultimately you still have to hand squeeze them and stuff. But this Master of Mixes lime juice that they have available, it comes in a little 375 ml bottles. I don't know for those people who can see T's screen, but yeah, it just comes in like a little handy 375 ml. So if you do want lime juice, this is the sort of stuff that you should be looking for. Don't use that lemon and lime squeezy stuff that you get in the supermarket that they tell you to use in cooking, and it's terrible. All right, so make sure you get yourself this Master of Mixes stuff. And same with the the sugar syrup. You could make sugar syrup yourself, but ultimately what most people do is they forget to like sterilize the bottle, or they don't boil the water properly. And then they think that, oh, why does my sugar syrup after a few weeks have something growing in the bottom of it? So you could make it yourself if you wanted to, but ultimately, again, Master of Mixes, they have these cool little cocktail things. They can keep for pretty much ever. I've had a bottle sitting around for a long, long period of time, and it won't spoil, which is great. Alrighty, let's move on. Share my screen. So we're now going to a Mai Tai. All right, so for this, people, you've got two options. You can shake it, or you can still go with a build like you did before. But since it's a shitty afternoon, I'm definitely going to have some fun and shake this drink. So grab your shaker, whatever you're using. If you don't have a proper cocktail shaker like I'm using here, or you might have a glass in a tin, all right, get a protein shaker, a mason jar, whatever you have lying around, something that can be sealed. All right, so for this, you're going to take the Mount Gay Black Barrel. This here is a 50 ml sample. It says 45 there. So just pour the whole thing in and call it Caribbean tax or something. It'll be A-OK. So next we're going to need our lime juice again. So find your lime juice, and of that we're going to need 25 mils. So next you're going to need your little bottle of Cointreau. So Cointreau, 10 mils of this. This is an orange liqueur. So if you smell it before you pour it in, it is super, super zesty, right? It's absolutely delicious. And the good thing about using Cointreau is that this is actually 40% 40 ABV, 40%, right? Like a full strength spirit. So you can get other triple sec or orange liqueurs out there. They don't carry the same flavor because of the alcohol is usually around 20 to 30%. So for this one, we're going to need 25 mils. Jokes, 10 mils. My bad, reading the wrong line. And then last 10 mils of sugar syrup. So for those people who have had a Mai Tai before, there are a couple of different options you can go with here. This one here is a bit more of a modern version. The old school version of a Mai Tai calls for a syrup called orgeat. So orgeat is actually a almond syrup. So they take almonds and they pour water over it and they squeeze it really, really tight, and kind of like an almond milk almost comes out. But the sugar syrup Cointreau combination is actually perfect. So when it comes to shaking cocktails, same thing applies as using ice in a drink. All right, you want to actually use quite a bit of ice when you're shaking. The reason for that is you don't have to shake it as long to get it cold, and secondly, we won't dilute it as quickly because there is more ice keeping all that good flavor intact. So lots of ice. And if you are using the cocktail shaker for the first time, all right, make sure that you put the cocktail shaker, hopefully you can see it there. See how one side is touching, right, and the other side isn't? So put the top in on an angle, The reason for that is that it makes it so much easier to get it off again once you finish shaking. All right, so one side is touching, the other side, we leave a gap, all right? And make sure you smash it in on the angle. When it comes to shaking, it's good to have a hell of a good time doing it, all right? So it doesn't matter how you shake. Remember, ice also has no feelings, all right? So you won't hurt anything inside here, all right? Now you grab your glass. I'm going to actually fill this up with fresh ice first. So again, ice is your friend, ice all the way to the top. Now all I'm going to do is I'm actually going to strain my cocktail, all right? I'll tell you why in a second. So here I have what's called a Hawthorne Strainer, right? But again, you can use anything that you have lying around at home. If you've only got, you know, a tea strainer like this lying around, that also does the job. So we just pop the Hawthorne Strainer this way on top. Usually you'll put my finger on top like so. And I like to double strain my cocktails. Just like that. And the reason why I use a fine strainer like this, all right, is because what happens is, and you might be able to see it, I don't know about the quality, but you'll see ice shards on the inside there, right? So if I pour all those ice shards actually into my cocktail, again, there's going to be a lot of dilution, all right? The idea behind this cocktail is that it tastes as much like the beginning as it does at the end, all right? So we want it to stay consistent. That's why we use a lot of ice. So again, when it comes to a garnish with this, use whatever you have lying around. It doesn't actually need a garnish because we've actually already made an absolutely delicious cocktail. So I'm not going to use one today. But if you have pineapple, if you want to put a little tiki umbrella on top, man, this is your drink. Do with it whatever you want. And I will also cheers to that, Paul. Is it Paul Ryan or Paul and Ryan? I don't know which one it is, but cheers to you guys. Yum. I'll be back in a second. Just going to go wash this out. All righty, team. So here we have the Mai Tai. So this is what we refer to as a tiki style drink. All right. So this drink is actually one that's been fought over a hell of a lot. All right. So there's a couple of guys who in America claim to be, you know, the godfather of the tiki style cocktails. But ultimately, this recipe has been to and fro. I came up with it. But the story behind it is that there was a guy who had a couple of friends visit him, and he was just playing around in his restaurant with some new cocktail concepts. And he actually came up with this drink called what we now know as the Mai Tai. But the reason for the name is that when the drink got served to his friends, one of them actually used the term Mai Tai, which ultimately translates into like, wow, like this is absolutely delicious, right? So so it's a pretty easy story, but these honestly, like the recipes that we've used here are if you're trying to be somewhat responsible. This again being a tiki style drink, and we're using the Cointreau, like pretty high ABV. Usually we'd use a hell of a lot more alcohol in this particular style cocktail. You might have heard of another drink called the Zombie. There is also another tiki style drink called the Hurricane. There's a reason why all these drinks all have these pretty like massive names, but really because they're packed full of ABV. A few of these and you'll be rocking and rolling. You'll have the party bumping. And there's another cocktail as well from the same kind of group of people called the Harvey Banger, right? So really it's just vodka orange juice with a little bit of vanilla liqueur. What an absolutely delicious drink. But again, the quantities of alcohol that you use in all of these cocktails will have you on your ass if you don't be careful. So who enjoys this drink? Tropical holiday. Wow, that's potent. Yep. And there's a reason, like I've talked about it a few times. So when we're making cocktails, like alcohol is really, really important because it carries flavor. All right. So the reason why I talk about Cointreau being 40%, right, is when we're talking about drinks like the margarita, you could use other orange liqueurs and stuff or 666, but ultimately it doesn't carry the same booze and therefore not the same amount of like citrus oils and essential oils. So it's really, really important that you use the quality products to make a quality drink. And Cointreau has been doing it for such a long period of time that I just wouldn't use anything else, to be completely honest with you. So does anybody have any questions?
I think we've got some people that are enjoying it very much. Kenny.
Nice. Awesome. So yeah, make sure that, if you are going to repeat making these cocktails, that you play around with the recipe. So I mentioned orgeat syrup, ORGEAT. So if you are going to, remake these cocktails, make sure that you have a look out for some. I think the team at Glengarry's is going to sort some out in their stores. So if you are interested, make sure you hit them up. But yeah, it's, you can't hear me. Can people hear me?
Paul and Ryan, I'll message directly.
Okay, sweet. Okay, sweet, all good. So yeah, make sure that you play around with like orgeat and stuff. When it comes to cocktails, there's a lot of fun to be had. If you want to flavor up your cocktails, if you want to do a passion fruit mojito, for example, look in the supermarket, right? You get some passion fruit products. But I know that, T, do you guys have the Real range at Glengarry's?
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Awesome. So I'll get the guys on the follow-up. I'll get them through to send all the Real products. So these are like fruit purees and stuff. Like, just use that. It's freaking amazing. But it's the concept is the same. Just swap the amount of sugar syrup that the recipes use for some of this Real syrup, and it'll change the game completely. All right. So we use the Mount Gay Black Barrel. So just a little bit about this product. Mount Gay has been around for a hell of a long period of time. It is actually the longest running rum distillery in the world since 1703. It's never been closed down, and one of the most well-renowned rum brands in the whole entire world. So the name Black Barrel refers to the barrel that they actually use to age their rum in. So they use ex-bourbon barrels. And the reason why it's Black Barrel is because we actually char the inside of the barrel, right? We light it on fire. Now, depending on how long you burn it for, depends on how much the inside of the barrel ultimately turns into charcoal, right? So there are certain distilleries in America that really burn the living crap out of the inside of the barrel, right? Mount Gay buys those barrels and then ages their rum in it. Ultimately, what it means is that the liquid inside the barrel has a lot of opportunity to draw into the wood and back out again, and that's where it gets its color from. All right, so we don't add any color to this. It's all natural, but it has like a really, really oaky taste. So if you didn't pour all of it in, try it by itself. But this Mount Gay, if you're looking for an amazing rum, whether it's the Eclipse or you like more refined palates, you might like the Black Barrel. There's also an XO product, absolutely amazing. So look out for these guys, but ultimately also great to use in cocktails, because usually if you're doing things right, quality makes quality. Cool. Any questions at all?
Perfect, Kenny. Hey, we've got Rachel letting us know that she did have some orgeat syrup there and has added a little, which made all the difference. Yeah. And then is thinking that she's going to float some dark rum.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, it's quite common. It really depends on like what recipe you follow, who you believe actually came up with the drink first. But like I said to you, all these tiki style drinks, alcohol or booze is the winner, right? So often you will see like a little float of some dark rum on top. It's actually not a hell of a lot of volume, but it does make it look a little bit more spectacular as well, because you get this nice dark layer on top. And if you use the right dark rum, it can add some delicious flavors as well. And just know that, when it comes to rum, like I said to you before, it is made from sugarcane. So naturally, rum is going to be sweeter. The darker rums, right, often they will also have like vanilla and some sugar added and stuff. So it can be quite sweet. So just know what products you're working with so that you don't make this sweet and then put a little float of dark rum in, which is going to make it even sweeter. So it's really just be mindful of the ingredients you're using and what they taste like. You can always change the cocktail, but yeah, just think about what you're putting in, because everything that you put in will have a huge effect on the final flavor. All righty. Any more questions, comments? I have some origins, add a little makes a big difference. Yep, floats and dark rum, absolutely. Yep, for sure. Any more questions at all?
Everyone's very quiet this afternoon, Kenny. It's very.
I know it's
I
very
know
unusual.
it's bizarre.
So,
You and I could just keep talking. Can everyone like it, or are you just quiet because you don't?
it could be that.
You've got them I know you've got them speechless, Kenny, because it's so good.
Yeah, it must. Well, busy
drinking.
Yeah, no, fair enough. All right, well, we'll go through. Good. We'll go to a quick poll. If you enjoyed the mojito more, chuck mojito in the chat. If you like the Mai Tai more, chuck Mai Tai in the chat. I want to see who wins. Mojito, nice. Mojito all the way. Mojito, yeah. All righty, cool.
Mai Tai's got one vote so far.
Yeah.
I've been counting.
Yeah, it's and hey, there's a reason why, you know, the Mojito Train is such a big phenomenon, right? And everyone wants to get on the bandwagon or the train. Mai Tai times 2. Yeah, the Mojito ultimately is one of my favorite drinks too. Alrighty, but we'll move on for the interest of keeping this to an hour of power, right? Share. Next drink, Negroni. All right, so Negroni ultimately, for those people that tuned into the Heyman session, so this is again an old school drink that has actually kind of been changed from what's known as an Americano. So an Americano traditionally was sweet vermouth, Campari, lots of ice, soda water, and some orange. But again, because we're talking about such boozy drinks, the Americano actually got changed by a couple of guys who didn't want the soda water because they didn't want to add dilution. They just wanted more booze. So the bartender was like, what should I chuck in it? Grabbed a bottle of gin, and here we are today enjoying Negronis. Now, the beautiful thing about that is we can change the gin out. All right, there's a drink called the Boulevardier, which actually calls for bourbon to replace the gin. But ultimately, if we kind of keep the sweet vermouth and you know, the bitter component of this drink the same, and we change out the alcohol component, it usually works quite well. So what I'm going to get you to do is just grab yourself a glass, a rocks glass will do, like so. So 30 mils of each, equal parts. So the only thing that I will say, if there are any Negroni drinkers in the group, all right, you'll see here the Tosti Cardamaro, right, and the Tosti Rosso Vermouth. So I would, if you are a genuine Negroni drinker, start by adding 30 mils of vermouth, 15 mils of vermouth, and then if you need to add some more to bring balance, just do so. Cool. So equal parts, all the same. So because I like myself a Negroni, I'm only putting a little bit of the vermouth in, just to start off with. And now again, I've been harping on about it, but remember, ice is your friend. So all the way to the top. And now what you're going to do is you're going to grab whatever you're using to stir, whether it's a bar spoon or a spoon or whatever it might be your finger, because it's your drink anyway, it doesn't really matter. But what I encourage you to do is stir it and keep tasting it along the way. All you're trying to do is you're trying to chill it down, but you're also trying to add a little bit of dilution from the ice melting. All right, you don't want too much. All righty. So once again, once I've stirred it down, obviously the ice has started to melt. So to keep it tasting the same as long as possible, I'm just going to top my glass up with ice again. And then when it comes to a garnish, you can take, if you have an orange or something at home, you can take a wedge of orange and put it in there. You can also, my favorite is just to take the peel, right, of citrus. I'm actually using lemon. I find that lemon works a lot better when it comes to a rum Negroni. And the reason for that is, again, remember, rum is being quite sweet, and the orange in the citrus world is also quite sweet. So I really want something a little bit more sour. So what I've done here is I've cut the peel. Yep. I've actually taken some of the pith, which is the inside of the peel. I've taken some of that off, because if that sits in the drink for a while, which with you lot, it probably won't, all right, it will actually turn the drink a little bit more bitter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the peel facing skin out in between my fingers, and I'm going to spray it on top of the drink, and all the oil will you'll actually see it coming out. Last but not least, I just wipe the outside of the glass like so, all the way around. And again, that's just aromatics. And what will also ultimately happen is when you hold your glass, you'll get those essential oils on your fingers, and it will smell absolutely delicious. So this right here, team, is the Rum Negroni. Cheers. Ooh, come back. So this here is very much a classic style cocktail. All right. So usually the term cocktail has been around for quite some time, and the first documented use of the word cocktail was in 1807. And the definition of cocktail then was actually something strong. So that would be your alcohol, something sweet. All right. Now this could be your liqueur or sugar syrup or something. It needed something bitter. All right. So things like Campari. Here we're using the Cardamaro. Any kind of bitter aperitivo or something, and then dilution, so water. All right, so whether that came from ice, or when ice wasn't a thing, they used to just add water. But yeah, that was the original use for the word cocktail. So you may have heard of a drink called the old fashioned. So another cocktail, right? So we've got bourbon, we've got bitters, we've got sugar, and then we also stir it down. So we've got our water. So any of those old school drinks, the Manhattan, for example, is another one. They all follow a similar recipe, because to be able to be called a cocktail back then, that's what you had to follow. All right. So I do see some people in the screen drinking it without ice. All right. So we call that neat or up. That's absolutely fine. All right. It just depends what you have lying around or how you prefer your drink. So the good thing about having the drink up is that you don't have to charge your way through all this ice. Obviously, we're not going to add any more dilution, and ultimately you're going to drink a lot faster. All right. For some reason, when there's no ice in the drink, you seem to just down it, which is absolutely no issues, because there's plenty more where that came from. All righty. Loving the cocktail facts. Thank you so much. Don't give me a big head, because I could go for days about this sort of stuff. So I absolutely love it. My fave cocktail is the Negroni, and this rum version is great. Awesome. With a half vermouth and the lemon peel. Yeah, for sure. For those people who aren't quite used to drinking Negronis like this, that little bit of extra sweetness makes it a little bit easier to drink. But for those people who can kind of hack it, or who are used to the taste, we don't need to use as much. Who ran out? Samantha? Bloody hell. I told you, ice is your friend. All right. Go on to Trade Me right now and buy a new chest freezer. You'll never run out again. You'll be fine. How far is the BP station away? Just run. You'll be right. And that Negroni hit me like a train. Yeah. Well, luckily they're serving mojitos on the train, so you'll be right. Negronis don't drive. Negronis don't just sneak in there.
I'm muted it while Mallory is having a chat.
Okay.
That's awesome, mate. It's quite different than Negroni. Trying it with a rum, it's sort of quite a different sort of spectrum of flavors.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mallory was quite into it, so I added some maraschino and some cherry bitters. And
oh, nice.
she's not into it still, but I quite like a bit of a cherry kick to it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so
Um,
you know, those people who don't, you know, Negronis can be like quite polarizing, I think, especially using the gin as well, right? Like it's just botanic on botanic on botanic. The rum, like you said, just kind of takes away that element and adds a little bit more, I don't know, you know, even more sweetness, a little bit more sugar. And for me, the body is also a lot nicer, actually. Yeah, I think it's great, personally.
do you want to tell us a bit about Flor de Cana and what they do and are all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So Flor de Cana is a really, really cool distillery, actually. They're right at the base of a volcano. So, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about, I don't know whether there are any whiskey nuts and stuff out there, but, you know, the barrel always gets talked about, right? And then rum as well. You know, you look at people like Mount Gay, they'll be like, we use ex-bourbon barrels and we use ex-cognac barrels, etc. But what people often forget about is the source, all right? So without sugarcane, right, we wouldn't be making rum today. So, you know, we talk about something, and if there's winos out there, we talk a lot about terroir, right, or actually where your crop is growing. So at the base of a volcano, that is very, very different to, you know, a tropical island to if you could grow it in Auckland right now, right? What that plant is eating and the flavor characteristics of that particular plant is going to be completely different. So at the base of a volcano, you know, not only the soil makeup is completely different, but also the atmospheric conditions. So these have huge effect. So on the raw product that we have, you know, it's really, really important. The other thing that these guys do that I think is really, really cool, they're all about sustainability. So yes, the environment, but also, you know, their people. So they're in not really that well off a place. So what they've done is they've actually built their own hospital. So anybody that works for the distillery and their families can get free healthcare. They've also got a school and things like that. So they tend to look after their people really, really well. They use renewable energy, and they've actually won Distillery of the Year. And that takes into consideration not just rum producer, Distillery of the Year a couple of times. So yeah, they make some amazing rums. And if you compare, you know, the style, Mount Gay to Flor de Cana, completely different. Flor de Cana 12, which is what we use to make the Negroni, for me, and one of the best sipping rums around. I think it's absolutely delicious. So if people do like their rums, rum old fashions, or if you like to sip rum just by itself, have a look for Flor de Cana 12. You will not be disappointed. And it doesn't hurt the back pocket or the wallet too badly either. So everyone, please leave your clothes on. Or not. You choose. Oh, the banter is good. Does anybody have any questions about the cocktails we've made so far? About any of the rums we've tried? Have you got any general commentary on the drinks we've had so far?
I think we've got a whole lot of people adding things to their cocktails. Yeah, pineapple juice, Cointreau's gone in.
Hey, and that's
T started something with adding to the Negroni there. We've got all sorts of experiments.
And that's fine. You know, like I said, when it comes to rum, it can be quite rogue, right? So have a play around. Who knows? You might be the next person to create the new classic cocktail. So yeah, make sure if you do come across a banger that you've made, can you please share the recipe? Because I'm looking for a get rich quick scheme. So that could be it. Who knows?
Hey Kenny, just while you head off screen, we've just had a question there on never heard of cardamaro and what else can you use with it? And do you want me to answer that one, Kenny, or a little bit about cardamaro?
I will pass it over to you because you can probably talk about Moscato wine a lot better than I can. And it's not a brand that I look after, so I can't talk as passionately about it, but you can. So
Cool. So cardamaro is an amaro, so it's in that group, and it is something that Glengarry actually import, which is why probably haven't seen a lot of it. We first brought it in actually in lockdown last year. And I have to confess that a few of us tried it and we all bought it and there was no stock. So that's also why you haven't seen a lot of it. So it is an Amaro, just like, you'd buy other Amaros that are out there. The difference is a couple of things. It's made by Tosti, who we also bring in their Prosecco. So they're based in northern Italy in the Piedmont region. And the recipe that they're using for it is a very old family recipe. And it's got a different ingredient in it, in that it's got cardoons in it. So if you've ever sort of seen artichokes growing, an artichoke is a type of cardoon, and it gives it quite a sort of herbal characteristic to it. It's also got a little bit of aloe vera in it. So it's really good for your digestion. So the other way to drink it, I mean, it's fantastic in a Negroni, but it's also really good just straight over ice. Or even if you were in Italy, you'd have it at the end of a meal, just as a little bit of a digestive, and you'd have had a big night enjoying the wonderful wines of northern Italy, and you'd have a little bit of cardamaro at the end of the night. So that's what it is. We particularly like it, as you can probably tell.
And so do I. I know I don't look after it, but it's bloody delicious. Thanks for adding it. Amazing. Hey, and I see a little, is ABV, sorry, just the alcohol level? Yeah, yes it is. So ABV, right, what that stands for is alcohol by volume, all right? So pretty much what that's telling you, all right, is, so we tried the Cointreau before, which was 40%, right? What that tells you is pretty much that 40% is straight alcohol and 60% is water. Right, so that's kind of what the ABV kind of tells you. If you're American, you may, that's all right. Hey, Jen, we've all had a few drinks now. It's absolutely fine, no worries. So if you're American or you just like to be a bit woke, you might use the word proof, all right? And what proof is twice the ABV. So Cointreau being 40% ABV would be 80 proof, all right? And the reason why they use the term proof is back in the day, when people would actually pull up, to docks and things, they wanted to check that the alcohol that they were buying was actually as strong as people were saying they are. So what they would used to do is they used to get gunpowder, pour the alcohol over, and if it lights, right, it's proof that it is indeed of a particular ABV or more. If the gunpowder no longer lit, you knew that it was that it wasn't. So the word proof ultimately over time is, like I said, the Americans still use it, and you might see it in the front of some bottles, but that's ultimately where those terms come from and what they relate to. Alcohol percentage, whoops, ABV, shame it was earlier than I misheard, no excuses. All good. All right, is everybody ready for the next drink? I see lots of thumbs up. Very, very good. So for this one, team, again, I say it a lot, one of my favorite drinks around. So the Daiquiri, all right. So for those dead-eyed dicks in the group, what you'll notice here is that a lot of these sour drinks, right, the ones that use lemon juice, the ones that use lime juice, they all follow a very, very similar recipe, all right? And it's 45, 30, 15, or easier to say, 3, 2, 1, right? So one part being whatever you want it to be, right? So if you want to make one part 30 mils, for example, then 2 parts would be 60, 3 parts would be 90, right? But this is 3, 2, 1, all right? So if you have those kinds of balances, 3 being strong, 2 being sour, 1 being sweet, you're usually going to come out with a pretty balanced drink, all right? So we're definitely going to shake this one. This is a new brand that we've just brought into the country. It's Spirited Union. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But this here, if you haven't nosed it already, absolutely amazing. I'm yet to believe that they can get this real flavor, right, into a spirit, but it is just absolutely sensational. So 45 mils. Now we're going to need 30 mils of lime juice. And last but not least, 15 mils of sugar syrup. So just a wee idea as I disappear off screen. Team, if you're looking for easy ways to chill your glassware, because you'll see that, you know, a lot of people they just pre-pour some ice into their glass as they're making the cocktails. I have a couple of shelves in my freezer dedicated to glassware, right? And it just makes them super, super, super cold. All right. So mine's already pre-chilled. I don't have to worry about that. We're going to use lots of ice again. Remember to put the top in on an angle, all right, and shake. If you're shaking properly, all right, you don't have to shake for very long. Hoo-yah! And I didn't dry this one properly, which is never a good thing. Got it done though, don't worry, team. You can stop stressing about me. So now what we're going to do is, I still see some people shaking, so I'll just talk this through again. I'm going to serve mine up. We talked about this before, right? So I'm going to use no ice in this drink. If you are going to use a rocks glass, absolutely, just put fresh ice in there first. My Hawthorne Strainer goes on top. And again, I don't want any ice shards in my finished cocktail, so I'm using a little tea strainer. All right, you can pick these up at the $2 shop or whatever, wherever you go shopping. And just like that, you have an absolutely delicious pineapple daiquiri. All right. So again, yes, you can put a garnish on this if you want to put a little pineapple wedge on the side. For me, I absolutely love sour drinks. All right. So I'm going to use some lemon already that I have right here. So same thing. I'm going to take a zest. Just going to cut the pith out of the inside of the zest. And here we go again. I just squeeze it over the top like so. The rim of the glass all the way around. And I also like to do the stem again, because it gets those oils all over your hands, and just the scent actually lasts longer. And I'm just going to pop that right into the drink itself. So here we have it. This here is a pineapple daiquiri. Holy shit, that's good. This is definitely a cocktail that I would pre-batch and just make heaps of, right? And the wonderful thing is that you just drink the bloody whole thing with a straw, right? That's how good this drink is. I think it's absolutely sensational. So I'll quickly just talk to you a little bit about the rum that we're trying. So, you know, we've all seen how popular gin is. And has been for the last couple of years, but rum is actually on the rise as well. Sorry, it's becoming extremely popular, and especially, you know, the more premium stuff. A lot of people are moving away from the cheap and nasty, and spending a little bit more on their rums as well, which is great. So these guys are actually based in Amsterdam, and Ruben, the guy who owns this distillery. He's got a really interesting mix of people. So half his family and where he was actually brought up was in the Caribbean, and he moved around Barbados and things. And then he moved to the Netherlands with his family. So ultimately he's Dutch, but has roots in the Caribbean, which is really, really cool, because he has a range of different products. So he has pineapple. We also, in New Zealand, we've got the pink grapefruit. We've got the coconut, which is absolutely amazing. So these are what they know as botanical rums. So what we do is he sources a single origin rum from a particular part of the world. So he gets some from the Caribbean. He has some from Panama. He also uses some from Africa and things. So he actually has connections all around the world because of his background. What he does then is he redistills this rum with botanicals, just like gin would, right? To make these beautiful, delicious, you know, all natural rums. And I think that they've done an amazing job. On the nose, this is so tropical. You know, for them to use a queen pineapple, which is quite a small pineapple, very, very vibrant, super tropical. To create this product here is amazing. I drink that with East Imperial do yuzu lemonade, or just with soda water. I think it's absolutely amazing. I think I see Gavin sipping on some plantation pineapple. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's plantation. Yeah, so pineapple rum is becoming quite a big thing everywhere in the world. So it's really cool to be able to have a product in our portfolio. But I think that their story, the fact that they're using, single origin rums is pretty cool. And, we don't use any cheap and nasty flavoring stuff, which is delicious.
Yeah,
Yum.
The question, is it like added flavoring, or is it straight just pineapple macerated?
Yeah, and they also use a variety of different spices and stuff just to bring a bit of balance. Hard to taste the additional stuff, but for the pineapple flavor, comes through in the daiquiri beautifully. You know what I mean? It's not too sweet, it's not too sour, it's not too fruity. Like a lot of these rums and gins and stuff that are flavored, I just find too overpowering. But this is absolutely beautifully balanced. I think they've done an amazing job. I think
it's quite it's that sort of balanced, restrained sort of pineapple spice that you're getting, whereas that people have got that plantation with them. That's something else different entirely. Again, it's real intense pineapple, but cognac barrels as well, and it's just really heightens it. But
absolutely,
that was really cool. It's the first time we're trying it. So
nice, awesome, yeah. And like if anybody likes to drink things like pina coladas, another amazing rum drink, make sure you hit up Glengarry's. They'll have the Spirited Union coconut. You don't need anything else. You don't need to add things like Malibu and whatnot. But I'm a sucker for. That's actually what I was drinking earlier. I was drinking pina coladas before I jumped online. So yeah, I absolutely love it.
And is this one's 38%?
Yes, it is.
Ranges?
Yep. They've got 8 flavors in total. We're currently just bringing 3 into New Zealand. There's a few that are pretty like left wing, that I just don't think that people would understand right now. So we've just gone for these 3 products. We'll see how they go. We've already sold through so much of our stock just because once people try it, they think that it's delicious and it's sold. So it's good.
So we've got the queen pineapple and spice rum, the coconut.
Yep.
What's the third one?
And the third one is pink grapefruit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the pink grapefruit is really, really good because I have a lot of people who think that they don't like rum, right? They don't actually know. They probably just drank Karuba by the liter like a long, long time ago, right? Yes, that's rum, but ultimately, as you probably would have seen today, there are lots of different varieties and styles out there. But the people who like gin, like it's the perfect way to get them across because it's quite a light-bodied rum that they use. And then the pink grapefruit is definitely a flavor that people in the gin will understand. So together, that rum and tonic is something that you don't hear of too much. But this Spirited Union pink grapefruit and tonic is absolutely delicious. It's so good.
What are the weird flavors that they do? And who made the decision not to bring them in?
Me. because
they must be weird then.
They must be pretty weird because I can let a lot slide. You're testing me here. One of them is like ginger and sea salt or something, and it's like I just don't think our palates are there just yet, including my own. I think we've got a long way to go before we start appreciating things like that. In the day, rum are huge, only rum, some lovely day. Sick. Thank you, Paul. I still don't know if it's Paul Ryan or Paul and Ryan. I haven't figured that one out yet. Okay. You see where I was getting confused though, don't you? Yeah, very good. Alrighty, team. So are we ready for the last cocktail? Yep. Very good. So I'm just going to share my screen and then quickly shoot off and wash my shaker because we're going to be making a Rum Espresso Martini. Yum, yum, yum. Hey, T, just while I'm doing this, mate, do you want to tell people why you think we should have started with this drink?
I told you that in confidence, Kenny.
Oh, did you? Okay, all right.
No,
Nothing.
My brother-in-law is actually on this call, and we're at his house at 10 a.m. this morning for my niece's. I think third. I always get confused if it's 3 or 4. But,
3-year-old
Got a bit
birthday.
of a wake up.
you know, cake and a couple of beers at 10 a.m.
Is the perfect way to start the day.
It's a bit of hard work in lockdown, that's for sure.
Well, that's
We're not
right.
used to it.
That's right. All righty, team. So we're going to be using Helmsman Spice. So you're going to need your shaker.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
sorry.
said.
All outdoors, only 2 households, etc.
Oh,
Outdoor picnic.
quite obviously. I mean, get with the program. If you're not doing that yourselves, be responsible, will you? God. So Helmsman Spice Rum, delicious. We'll talk about that in a second. So of that, we're going to need 30 mils. So again, hopefully you haven't gone too far ahead, team. So I do have equal parts here, right? So, but what I will say is, again, those people who don't like their cocktails too sweet, all right, just when it comes to the quick brown fox, which is a coffee liqueur, you might just want to start with 20 mils, depending on how sweet or not sweet you like your cocktails, all right? But we are going to put in 30 mils of the Harpoon Espresso Concentrate. And I'm going to start with 20 mils of the quick brown fox. Alrighty, so again, team, believe it or not, we are going to need a lot of ice to shake this delicious cocktail. And I've done the same trick as before, team. So like I said, I've got glassware in the freezer. So this time I'm using a coupe glass, all right, like a old school champagne saucer. You can use whatever glass you want. It doesn't really matter, all right? And if you've got it, double strain, all right? If we've shaken a cocktail, like I said, there's always going to be lots of small shards. They don't really have a place in your cocktail at all right? So double straining would just get rid of those really, really nicely. When it comes to an espresso martini as well, if you double strain, all right, or if you strain using a tea strainer like this, a fine strainer, right, it actually makes all the bubbles a little bit more silky as well. So the cocktail as a whole is more enjoyable to drink. And here we are, the absolutely delicious espresso martini. So for those people who didn't add all of the quick brown fox coffee liqueur, have a taste of your cocktail. If you find that it's a little bit too bitter, feel free to just add a little bit more, and you can actually just stir it through. It will be absolutely fine. For me, this is perfect. I tend to drink, long black or espresso coffee. So for me, I actually really like a little bit more bitter taste in my espresso martini. So obviously, the espresso martini is super, super popular all around the world, but it wasn't always called the espresso martini. It used to be called the vodka espresso, which to me, right, is a pretty boring name. But the story behind it is there was a well-to-do actress who walked into a bar, long day at work, and she actually, excuse my French, she said to the bartender, she said, he said to her, "What would you like?" And she turned around and she said, "Well, I need something to wake me up and fuck me up." So the bartender was like, "Holy heck, all right." So he threw together some vodka, He had an espresso machine. So he put some espresso in there as well, and then a little bit of coffee liqueur just for balance. Shook it up, and there it was. In that time as well, the martini glass, anything that was in an old school V-shaped martini glass was extremely popular. So they put the espresso martini, or the vodka espresso as it was known then, into one of those glasses, and hence why it became to be called the espresso martini. So yes, vodka is the normal base, but I actually really love it with the rum. I just think it adds another dynamic. The Helmsman Spice Rum that we're trying today, for those people who like rum and drink a lot of it, some of the other brands of spice rum out there are on the super sweet side, right? And they do have a little bit of spice. The beautiful thing about Helmsman for me is that it's not that sweet, and it really lets all the spices come to the fore. And the really cool thing about this cocktail that we've just made using these products is that it's all New Zealand. All right, so Helmsman is actually a New Zealand brand. So the guys, they do buy their rums internationally and blend them here. And the Harpoon and the Quick Brown Fox are by a wonderful human by the name of Arjun from down in the South Island in Dunedin. And he makes both these products. So it's really cool to be able to make a cocktail that supports our wonderful local Kiwis. Shit, I wish I could go to a pub or a bar. I mean, it's not so bad because obviously all of us people on this call are really good at making cocktails at home. It just would be really nice to be waited on by somebody, it would be lovely. Shit the bed, this is good. I love that comment. Where is Gavin? I'm looking for, there. Oh yeah, those people. Yeah, I love you guys. You guys have been amazing. How good. This is legit amazeballs. Yes, it is. Nicole, I'm going to have to disagree with you, mate. I don't find it rude. It's just passionate. The passion is there. I love it. Yeah, I think, look, there's nothing wrong with using vodka, right? I just think that, rum, again, adds another dynamic, much like the Negroni we tried earlier. There's nothing wrong with a Negroni, and I absolutely love the drink. I just think that, using rum is so versatile, right? There are so many drinks out there you can make using rum and just swapping it out with the spirit that it calls for. So amazing. Love it. Does anybody have any questions at all? Because that's kind of, that's we've done quite well, actually. What's the time? Yeah, that's good. That's an hour, Liz. How good are we?
Yeah, you've done super well. Yeah, and I don't think you've confused too many people with, all the little bottles and getting everything in the right thing. You've done really well.
That's good. That's good. It also helps when everyone's muted so they can't complain,
We're not unmuted now, Kenny.
Oh, shit. Jesus. Yeah.
Hey, Kenny, we've just had a really good question from Sean. When's the next session?
Yeah.
Sean, what I can tell you is that T and I sat down this week and have planned out the most amazing series of Zoom tastings right through to December. So there's going to be, lots of thumbs up. We'll get them online this week. We'll let you know about them. We've got all sorts of things. We've actually really pushed the boat out, and fingers crossed got some distillers going to join us online as well and take us through what they're doing. And yeah, it'll be loads of fun. So whole heap of spirit ones and a whole heap of wine ones, and actually trying to work out how we do something with champagne, because it's a little bit tricky because we can't put it in the little bottles, but I think we might just today have come up with the brainwave on that. So yeah, lots coming. T?
Yeah, I mean, you're a bit vague on what's coming up, but it has all been confirmed. So if we've got any wine drinkers here, the first one up on the 11th of November is actually Michael Brakovich, the Master of Wine from King River. Him and Larry McKenna are going to take us through their latest releases and their Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. We've also got Four Pillars and Cadrona lined up with a similar sort of tasting to this, sort of try their products with mixes and a couple of cocktails, sort of just mix it up and just try sort of that different styles. So 3 or 4 different wine ones and some whiskey ones as well. So we'll send out an email pretty soon once we sort of finalize it all somehow.
And Liz, I think you should just send us full bottles of champagne.
I think we got lots of thumbs up for that one. Yeah, the other wine ones that T was talking about is we did a new release wine one recently, and Regan and I are going to be back to do another new release wine one. And then there's 4 winemakers that if you sort of had to put together a list of, you know, what are the top 4 New Zealand Pinot Noir winemakers out there, that 4, and you give them 1 vineyard, they all take some fruit and they go make a wine, so their expression with the same grapes. So we've got that coming up as well. We're going to get all 4 of them online to tell us why they've made 4 really, really different Pinot Noirs. So it'll all be up online shortly. In terms of the products that you're not finding online, and I think it was the pineapple rum, I've been a little busy behind the scenes while you've been talking, just to ensure that it will arrive at our stores on Monday. And it'll be up on the website by end of Monday, and we'll flick you out an email to tell you that it's there. Cool? Yes, and happy birthday, Erica. Where's Erica?
I'm here. Thanks,